Very good morning to all of you, dear students. In the last lecture, we have seen how Satan goes on delivering speeches, powerful speeches in hell, and how, as a result, he emerges out as a strong leader of the evil forces. Now, in today's discussion, from line number 335 to line number 521, we are going to see the results of Satan's powerful speeches that he has made till now. So, today's discussion is all about how the other fallen angels start gathering around the lake, the burning lake, on the command of their leader, Satan. Till now, till yesterday's discussion, we saw only two angels, fallen angels, discussing or talking amongst between each other, that is Satan and Beelzebub. Now, in today's discussion, we will see some more fallen angels like these, and today's discussion is on the description given by John Milton about the other fallen angels who start gathering and thereby become a promising force for Satan to fight against God. So, our discussion today will begin with line number 335. They heard and were abashed, and up they sprung upon the wing. So, he has given a great speech, and the last line was, awake, arise, or be forever fallen. When they hear these lines, all the demons, all the fallen angels who are now struggling in the burning lake of hell, they all start coming out slowly. They feel ashamed of their slumbering, of their inactivity. They sprung upon the wing. And when men wont to watch on duty, sleeping found by whom they dread, and they were dreading, they were afraid of their leader Satan, who was extremely powerful. So numberless were those bad angels seen hovering on wing under the cope of hell, twixt upper, nether, and surrounding fires. How were they living in that hell now? They were all surrounded by the burning lake, and they were all suffering, they were all struggling. It was a painful situation for the other fallen angels. Then the next few lines include some of the geographical descriptions of rivers of Europe. It is seen as a comparative thing used by John Milton in this epic. Further, so this is how they all start gathering around, and there are lots of geographical references. I will read few lines, you will understand how John Milton had a sense of geography. Came like a deluge on the south. How they were gathering now? They came as if they were in huge number, so it looked as if it is a deluge, a flood. They came up like a deluge on the south and spread beneath Gibraltar to the Libyan sands. He also was aware of the Gibraltar, the pass, the small gap between Spain and Africa, and it seemed to him as if a huge flood is coming out of that small pass and spread beneath Gibraltar to the Libyan sands. Forthwith, from every squadron and each band, the heads and leaders thither haste where stood their great commander. So all of them started running, they started getting awakened slowly, and now They are aware of their situation and they are afraid of their commander Satan, who was calling them with loud noise and loud commands. Godlike shapes and forms excelling humans, princely dignities and powers that erst in heaven sat on thrones. They are not ordinary. All those fallen angels, they have their superpowers. So they have godlike shapes. In their shape, they are almost like God. They have wings, they have huge bodies, supernatural powers, and forms excelling humans. How they look? They look more beautiful than the humans. They are graceful in their forms, but unfortunately, their hearts are bad. And powers that erst in heaven sat on thrones. He is also pitying the situation, the misery of these fallen angels, because before they fell into this hell, they were enjoying very good position in heaven, and they were almost like gods in heaven. Though of their names in heaven records now be no memorial, blotted out and erased by their rebellion from the books of life. But now they don't have any value in the heaven because of their rebellious attitude, and God does not like these kind of attitudes. That's how John Milton describes their nature and their forms in brief. Later in this part especially, we will understand how each of these evil angel is. What is the speciality of each of them? It is all described in these lines. Further, there is a brief again. See, this is the nature of a poet. We call him as omniscient narrator. You might have heard of this term, omniscient narrator. Now in this epic, we see John Milton to be an omniscient narrator. He knows what is going to happen in the future. He knows what is going to happen now, and he also knows what has happened in the past. He is just re-narrating the story so that people should understand. We can compare this with our own epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. For example, in Ramayana, the poet Valmiki, Maharshi Valmiki, he was an omniscient narrator. He wrote the poem with omniscience. That is, he knew about what is going to happen in the future. He knew about the past. He knew about the present as well. So he can predict the things. In the same way, John Milton, as an omniscient narrator, has the power of prophecy as well, which we are going to see much more profoundly in this section as well. Here, he takes a small break. He has described the movement of fallen angels in the hell now, and now he takes a small break to describe the beauty of God once again. Though through God's high sufferance for the trial of mankind, they corrupted to forsake God, their Creator and the invisible glory of Him that made them to transform oft to the image of a brute, adorned with gay religions, full of pomp and gold, and devils to adore for deities. This is a sort of prophecy made by John Milton, because he has already studied the Bible in depth, and he knows what is going to be the future of all these angels. All these fallen angels, although they were bad, although they were devils, later, after the birth of Jesus Christ, later in the culture, European culture, these devils would be worshipped as deities. So, even though they have committed such crimes against God, against heaven, they have corrupted the human race, God is still merciful towards them because He has allowed them the status of being deities in their later life. This thing will be clear to you when we read about these. Further, at their great emperor's call, as next in worth came singly, where he stood on the bare strand, while the promiscuous crowd stood yet aloof. The chief were those who from the pit of hell, roaming to seek their prey on earth, durst fix their seats long after next the seat of God. Here he is telling that all of these fallen angels were once upon a time very close to the God's seat in heaven. They were very near to God, but because of their rebellious nature, God had to punish them. But even though He has punished them, God is still graceful towards them because they will be later worshipped across European cultures as different deities. Next, I will start with this section. This section is again very important because here he goes on describing these various fallen angels in great words with lots of geographical references, with lot of adjectives. What is their speciality? So this section becomes important. So the first few lines describe the character of Moloch. And with their darkness durst affront his light. First, Moloch, horrid king, besmeared with blood of human sacrifice. How is this Moloch? He is a horrible king. He is a horrible angel, besmeared with blood of human sacrifice. His face, his body is smeared with blood. He is looking dangerous. And parents' tears. He symbolizes pain, death, and even murder. And parents' tears, though for the noise of drums and timbrels sound loud, their children's cries unheard, and that passed through fire to his grim idol. Him the Ammonite worshipped in Rabbah. See, this is a prophecy. Although Moloch is an evil angel, he is the symbol of murder, sacrifice, killing, and the pain of parents. Later, a group of people called Ammonites, Ammonite worshipped in Rabbah. The Ammonite worshipped this god in Rabbah in the later history of Europe. Rabbah is a place. And her watery plain in Argob and in Basan to the stream of utmost Arnon. These are references to various places mentioned in the Bible which are found in the Middle East of the world as well as in the nearby European countries. It is all taken from Christian biblical references. How is he? No, nor content with such audacious neighborhood, the wisest heart of Solomon he led by fraud. He was a fraudster, Moloch, and here he is enlisting even the crimes committed by these fallen angels. Fraud to build his temple right against the temple of God. He had such a courage that he wanted to build his own temple by the side of God, and that too by doing frauds on that opprobrious hill, and made his grove the pleasant valley of Hinnom. Tophet thence and black Gehenna called the type of hell. These are again the places referred to in the Bible. Places like Valley of Hinnom, Tophet, and Gehenna, all these things. So this is how he describes Moloch in the beginning. He is the symbol of murder, crime and pain of the parents. Next is the description of another angel called Chemos. Next, Chemos, the obscene dread of Moab's sons, and from Arior to Nebo and the wild of southmost Abarim. These are the places where he was worshipped later. In Hexagon and Horonium, Sion's realm, beyond the flowery dale of Sibma clad with vines, and Eliel to the asphaltic pool. Pure is another name. His another name is Pure. So it is like a sort of introduction to the characters. What are these famous for or notorious for? In this case they are notorious because they are bad. And what is their other name? Which are the places in which they are worshipped? These details are given one by one. And his fault is that he was the symbol of lust. Later he describes. When he Pure his other name, when he enticed Israel in Sittim on their march from Nile to do him wanton rites, which caused them woe. Yet thence his lustful orgies he enlarged even to that hill of scandal, by the grove of Moloch homicide, lust by hard by hate. So he represents lust, which is another bad quality that is found in humans. So these are the representations of the evil natures that are found not outside in the world but within the human mind itself. So it is all a symbolic representation. The very concept of good and virtue. This is like there's a word for that. Allegory. These are all allegorical descriptions in which each of these characters represent some abstract concept. And here in this case, since these are all fallen angels, they represent evil characters that are found in the human beings. Further, there is the description of Baalim and Ashtoreth. I will not be reading them all. Then of Tammuz. Tammuz came next behind, whose annual wound in Lebanon allured the Syrian damsels to lament his fate in amorous ditties all a summer's day, while smooth Adonis from his native rock ran purple to the sea, supposed with blood of Tammuz yearly wounded. The love tale infected Sion's daughters with like heat, whose wanton passions, again he represents the wanton nature of the humans, that is again lust. So this is how there is a description of Tammuz. Then there is description of Dagon. Dagon is a kind of a sea monster, he describes here. Next came one who mourned in earnest when the captive ark mined his brute image, head and hands lopped off in his own temple. This is the fate of these fallen angels. His head and hands are chopped off in his own temple. On the Grunsel edge, where he fell flat and shamed his worshippers. Dagon is named, sea monster, upward man and downward fish. It's like a mermaid. Dagon is half man and half a fish, and he is a sea monster described in these lines. Next comes Rimmon, who is worshipped in Damascus. Then we have these three fallen angels joining them. So John Milton makes us to imagine these angels coming together one by one. They have all gathered near Satan now. These are the main fallen angels. Their followers will be joining later. So these are chiefs among them, and all of them are described one by one as if it is a sort of a formal introduction to these all characters. Further, there is the description of Belial. Belial came last, than whom a spirit more lived, fell not from heaven, or more gross to love, wise for itself. To him no temple stood or altar smoked. For him, he was a very worst kind of an angel. For him there was no temple built later. He was not worshipped at all. So this is the fate of all these fallen angels who joined the group on the command of Satan, who is their leader. So I have given you the specific lines in which these are described. You can go through them once again in detail. I have not dealt with them in detail because it does not matter much in the theme of the whole of book 1. It is nothing but description. And of course we have to appreciate John Milton, who has a very sound knowledge of Bible and who knows where these angels were worshipped in the later times. Then line number 507 to 521, it further continues the description of few more following angels who start gathering there with lot of struggle. The Eonian gods of Javan's issue held, gods yet confessed later than heaven and earth, their boasted parents. Titan, heaven's firstborn, with his enormous brood and birthright seized by younger Saturn. He from mightier Jove, his own and Rhea's son, like measure found. You see, there is a reference to the different planets like Saturn, Jupiter, and then Javan, Earth, Titan. This also shows a similarity between Indian mythologies and the ancient Christian mythologies. Perhaps Bible had taken some elements from Greek mythologies as well. There is a chance because even in the Greek mythologies, the planets are respected as gods. Apollo, sun god, then Earth, Jupiter. These are the gods, and Titan. These are considered as gods and these are worshipped. In the same way, even in the Indian culture, planets are worshipped. So here John Milton tries to bring in all those elements of the planets, which also show that he might have known about the discovery of stars and planets in those times, because that was the time wherein lots of inventions, scientific expeditions and discoveries were taking place, right? So there is a possibility that Milton had a sound idea of the investigation into the space done by the scientists in those times. Further, of cold Olympus ruled the middle air, their highest heaven, or on the Delphian cliff, or on Dodona, or in Dodona and through all the bounds of Doric land. There is this is the speciality of Milton. Throughout book 1, he has given lots of references to different places of Europe and the Middle East countries, which is known as the land of biblical stories. All these and more came flocking. So many more and more people, the fallen angels, started gathering, coming in great numbers. And all these more and more came flocking, but with looks downcast and damp. How were they coming? They were not high spirited. Only Satan was high spirited angel. All the others were tired, because we have to understand their situation. Poor fellows, they were all defeated by God, and their situation was like that of wounded soldiers. So obviously they did not have much strength to get up from the burning lake, and all of them were almost like dead bodies. They were wounded, they were tired, and they were desperate as well. So their looks are not that of happy angels. Now, with looks downcast and damp, their looks are downcast, they are feeling low and damp. Yet such wherein appeared obscure some glimpse of joy, to have found their chief not in despair, to have found themselves not lost in loss itself. They are slowly coming with a damp and desolate look on their face, but when they see their leader is in high spirit once again, they too feel motivated a little bit. So this is how Milton has taken these all lines in order to describe how, on the command of Satan, all these angels start gathering. This also indicates that Satan is a leader, respected, honored by his followers, no matter he is evil. Since all of them are evil, all of them are really motivated by Satan, and they really consider him as their leader. So this is how Satan emerges out. Even though it is the action of angels, fallen angels, that is described in today's lecture, all these actions, the way they come out of that burning lake, even though they are tired, even though they are afraid, even though they are depressed because of the loss in war, they somehow gather up their own energies and forces and come together to assemble at the command of Satan. This shows that Satan was an absolutely powerful leader for the rebel angels. What happens next when they gather all together in multitudes? We will see in the next class. Thank you so much.